Hey you guys, it's your girl T, and I want to go ahead and shout out VH1 Access. VH1 Access, and a lot of people wanted me to do commentary on the whole Slim Thug situation. So unless you've been living under a rock, Slim Thug decided to go on to CNN and explain what a thug was to Don Lemon. So Don Lemon has been on this whole thug clique ever since the Thug Cycle video hit the internet. And he's trying to save one black child at a time. So he decided to have Slim Thug on the show. I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a news clip here. I want you guys to watch the interview really closely, and I'll come back with the rest of my comments.
You describe a thug as someone coming from nothing to something. That to me honestly sounds like an entrepreneur or a businessman. Why do you feel the need to use the word thug to describe social or economic success?
It's really it's deeper than just being an entrepreneur, because when I say from nothing, I mean like from nothing for real. Like you know, mama not there, daddy not there, you know, and you looked at as a thug because of how you look. You don't have the you might have saggy jeans, I don't know, whatever, and you come from the hood, so you're not dressed, you know, as sharp as the other kids or whatever, but you know, and you always looked at as a thug. You know, you always, from family to, you know, just strangers or whatever, everybody looking at you like you about to steal something from them or rob them because of how you dress and how you look. And for you to come from that to being successful, man, that's what we like. We call it coming from nothing. That's what we call it thugging.
But in your music, you talk about that you're strapped, owning a gun. You talk about that you roll with gorillas, dealers, and killers.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. So
it's
then,
true.
Do you understand that some of the kids who listen to your music, they may misinterpret what you mean by the word thug? It may not be their definition of a word thug, may not be your definition of the word thug.
I understand that. Just like like I think y'all definition of thug and mine differ. So, you know, I understand that people can get it wrong sometimes. But at the same time, it's like I do all that, and I do hang around those type of, you know, guys, and that's what environment I was raised in. And I was discriminated on so much because of how I look and how I dress. So I want to show, you know, the other kids who I'm from and who came up how I came up, just because I had braids in the grill, you know, and looked with tattoos everywhere, it don't necessarily mean I'm finna try to snatch your purse.
You had trouble getting deals because of your name. I mean, can you tell me, you had trouble getting deals? You lose endorsements because of the name?
Everything, a lot of stuff, because I can't get a date. I give out meals all the time. I go to the hood every Thanksgiving, pass out turkeys, give toys away at school. I do a lot for the community, but I'm sure the reason why I don't got no day, you know, from the mayor is because of my name is Slim Thug. You know how they look like giving a guy named Slim Thug his own day
thinks
or something.
The same,
you know what I'm saying? And also, I don't think that was cool what happened with that baby. I don't think that's cool. Them people got that kid cussing like that, you know what I'm saying? But I also don't think it's right for somebody to label him as a thug, you know what I'm saying? Because of what his environment, you know, and that's just what he's raised in, and he's got to come out of that, you know, and it's hard. A lot of people are born into money, you know, got mom and daddy there, and they just got to follow the, you know, the blueprint, you know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that, because the people who are telling him to thug in his diaper, right, are saying it, are listening, maybe people who are listening to your music, and that's what I mean by maybe they're perpetuating a negative stereotype, and they don't even realize it. It's not the baby's fault, but they're doing it because they think it's cool.
It's the environment. It ain't the music, you know. And then if anybody listens to music and is influenced by what a rapper says, then that's just not good. They wasn't raised in a good home anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for somebody to listen to, I mean, if somebody gonna listen to a song and do what the song say, that's bad parenting off top, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to know better than that.
Thank you.
There it is. Appreciate you having me.
Okay, so you guys just watched the news clip, and I love how Don Lemon looked at the camera at the end, and then he just kind of chuckled like, yeah, we got him. You know, I just think the interview was just so stupid, and it just wasn't needed. You know, Slim Thug tried his best to define what a thug was, and he tried his best to basically define, you know, where he was from and, you know, his lifestyle and how he grew up. You know, a lot of folks grow up, you know, in the hood and things like that. You just try and make the best that you can make out of it. A lot of folks judge you because of where you're from, how you're raised, and things like that, as opposed to getting to know you. So I understand his point, but I also hate how people try and like redefine, you know, literal meanings of words. If you look up thug in the dictionary, it doesn't mean anything that Slim Thug says. Just like when you look up mindless behavior in the dictionary, it doesn't mean anything that these mindless behavior fans try and tell me that it means. When you talk about thug, we're talking about the literal meaning. Now he's kind of clean it up and make it what it is to him, but it's all subjective at the end of the day. It's all about how you look at it. It's all about the message you're trying to convey, and it's all about the point that you're trying to get across. So with that being said, I feel like Don Lemon knew what he was doing. He put this interview together. It was another example of basically showing the white media, the white masses, you know, the definition between him, a well-educated, upstanding citizen, and this so-called thug hood dude. Because there couldn't have been a bigger contrast between Slim Thug and Don Lemon. And I feel like that's why CNN did that, and that's why they put it out there the way that they did. You know, I think at the end of the day, the whole cliche, let's blame rappers for all of society's ills. You know, do rappers bear some responsibility for the words that they say? Possibly. Am I going to sit up here and act like music has absolutely no influence on people's psyches, on their emotional well-being, and on certain things? Music is a very powerful tool. You know what I'm saying? Music has been used to, you know, stir up battles, stir up feelings, stir up emotions. So I'll never be that ignorant to say that, you know, music can't influence you. If you're weak-minded enough, it can influence you. You know what I'm saying? But but at the end of the day, you cannot blame the rapper. You cannot blame the hip hop industry for society's ills. I can't buy into that. You know what I'm saying? That whole Thug Psycho video had nothing to do with Slim Thug. It had to do with the parents. It was a cycle of nonsense in that household. You know, at the end of the day, the problem is a lot of folks don't want to take personal responsibility for their fuck-ups, for the stuff that they're not doing in their household as far as how they're raising their children. They don't want to take personal responsibility, so it's easier to blame Lil Wayne. It's easier to blame Drake. It's easier to blame Slim Thug as opposed to getting to the root of the problem, which is the fact that a lot of parents are young and they don't want to be bothered with their kids. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather be out here kicking it and still doing them. Grandmother is in her 40s and she's still trying to live her life, all the while raising a teenager with a baby. That's the issue in that household, not rap music, not this whole thug life mentality. I really wish Tupac was here because I felt like if Don Lemon had interviewed Tupac probably would have ran circles around him in that interview. While Slim Thug tried to be somewhat articulate and try to break it down, it was hard for him to articulate himself. He wasn't as articulate as I would have liked him to be, but he did try. So I can't knock him for that. He did try because Don Lemon was on some slick stuff. At the end of the day, who can we blame? Do we blame the rappers? Or does it make more sense to blame the corporations who's funding the Chief Keefs, the Frito Santanas, the Little Reeses? You know what I'm saying? They're giving them $1 million deals, but then you got kids who talk about positive stuff, who talk about conscious stuff, and the record companies don't want to have anything to do with that. So to me, I have more beef with the record companies who promote that than the artists. Because people are going to put out there what's going to get them paid. And what's going to get them paid is talking about the thug life, selling drugs, having sex, and everything else. It's sad, but that's the way of the world. People love debauchery. Point blank. It's no different than movies. It's no different than entertainment. You know, it's funny that when it comes to, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Total Recall and all these violent movies that we grew up with as a kid, people can always differentiate that, you know, Arnold is just an actor and he's not really that violent, but somehow they can't differentiate that with a lot of these rappers. A lot of them are just studio gangsters and most of them are not thugs. And to me, any thug that has to go on CNN and explain what a thug is, you're not really that much of a thug. That's just keeping it real. Because the thugs I know are not going to be on national television trying to really decipher and break down what a thug is to Don Lemon. They're out there doing some thug ass shit. The blame is solely on the people who are in charge of that child's well-being. I blame that family. I can't sit here and blame hip-hop. I mean, if that's the case, what's next? Is Don Lemon going to interview Rick Ross and blame him for the epidemic of obesity in the black community? So because Rick Ross is fat as hell, that's why a majority of African-American people are overweight? I mean, that's like literally interviewing Rick Ross and saying, you know, well, it's because of you and your music that there's so many fat black people walking around here. I mean, that's insane to me. It's the same mentality. I understand Don Lemon's points. I understand, you know, how detrimental the music has come and how low vibrational a lot of this music is. I understand that. But at the end of the day, we have to be realistic and talk to our kids and let them know that, you know what, life is so much more. Don't let this music define you. This is nobody that you need to be like. These people are playing a role and you cannot take it seriously. And that's what we need to push and let these kids know. Let them know that these people who are rapping about that hood life are not living in the hood. They're living in the damn, you know, mansions in Beverly Hills, sipping on wine and eating caviar. They're not out here selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? That's the shit that you need to, that's the shit that you need to tell your kids instead of just letting your kids listen to any type of music and not being able to decipher between reality and fiction. So I think the conversation needs to be had first and foremost in the household before we start blaming the rappers. But that's just my opinion. So anyways, go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation. What do you guys think about the interview? What do you think about, Slim Thug's response and, his whole definition of a thug? And then what do you think about Don Lemon, smirking at the end? Do you think he was being genuine, or do you think that he was just doing this because CNN put him up to it? So let me know your thoughts. All right, deuces.